In a universe where gravity has a mind of its own, a rogue black hole threatens everything humanity holds dear. As a desperate convoy races against time to escape its grasp, they uncover the secrets of an ancient civilization that created this cosmic monster. Join Captain Zara Nix and her crew as they face impossible odds, unravel chilling truths, and make the ultimate sacrifice in a battle for survival. Will they escape the clutches of the abyss, or will they become its next victims? Stay tuned to find out. In the year 2147, humanity had finally become an interstellar species. Colonies flourished on distant planets, connected by advanced wormhole technology, and new worlds were charted every year. Space travel, once an audacious dream, had become routine. The United Galactic Council, the governing body of human colonies, maintained peace and order across the known galaxy, while research vessels continued to push the boundaries of discovery. The research vessel Eclipse, a state-of-the-art ship equipped with the latest scanning technology, was exploring a distant region near the edge of the Orion Arm. Its mission was to map out anomalies and gather data on rare cosmic phenomena. During a routine scan, the crew stumbled upon something they couldn't understand, a strange gravitational disturbance. At first, they thought it was a black hole, but its behavior was unlike anything recorded before. Captain Elias Ward and his team gathered around the holographic display in the ship's control room, analyzing the data. The anomaly was moving, traveling through space at a velocity that defied the laws of physics. Traditional black holes remained stationary, orbiting stars or drifting slowly through space. But this one was different. It was a rogue black hole, hurtling through the void like a predator stalking prey. What's more, the disturbance around it suggested that it was bending space and time far beyond its immediate vicinity, creating ripples that reached light-years away. Dr. Lena Kai, the Eclipse's chief astrophysicist, stared at the readings in disbelief. "This doesn't make sense, Captain," she muttered, scrolling through data on the holoscreen. "It's not just warping space, it's accelerating. As if it has a purpose or a target?" The realization sent a chill through the room. If the black hole was accelerating, then it could pose a direct threat to anything in its path. Captain Ward immediately ordered a long-range scan of the region, and the results confirmed their worst fears. The rogue black hole was heading directly toward the Argus star cluster, a densely populated zone of human colonies. Within just a few months, it would enter the cluster's space, its gravitational pull capable of tearing entire planets apart. Panic spread through the crew. They attempted to send a warning to the United Galactic Council, but time was running out. The gravitational waves emitted by the anomaly were disrupting communications, making it difficult to reach out. Meanwhile, the black hole's unpredictable movements made it nearly impossible to predict the exact path of destruction it would take. It was as if the laws of physics had been rewritten, and the universe itself was rebelling against their understanding. Despite their fear, the crew of the Eclipse pressed on, gathering as much data as they could. Dr. Kai discovered something even more unsettling, a faint, repeating signal buried within the anomaly's gravitational waves, like an echo from the past. It pulsed with a rhythm too precise to be natural, almost as if it was trying to communicate. But communicate what? And to whom? As the anomaly continued its relentless approach, Captain Ward and his team faced a horrifying question. Was this black hole a natural force of destruction, or was there an intelligence behind it, guiding its path through the cosmos? Their findings, no matter how incomplete, had to be sent back to the Council, even if it meant risking their own lives to do so. The Eclipse broadcasted a final distress signal, sending data packets through the turbulent space in the hope that someone, somewhere, would receive their warning. Then, they turned their attention back to the anomaly, determined to uncover its secrets before it was too late. But as the dark shadow of the black hole loomed ever closer, they realized that they might not just be studying a cosmic phenomenon. They might be facing a force beyond their comprehension, one that could threaten all of human existence. And so began humanity's race against time, with the fate of millions hanging in the balance. In the shadow of the anomaly, the universe seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for the moment when everything would change. As news of the rogue black hole spread, panic rippled through the colonies of the Argus star cluster. The United Galactic Council, after verifying the Eclipse's data, declared a state of emergency, ordering the immediate evacuation of all colonies in the black hole's projected path. It was a task of unprecedented scale. Evacuating entire planets teeming with millions of inhabitants would require coordination, courage, and sacrifice. The Council dispatched every available ship, military, cargo, and civilian vessels, to assist in the evacuation. Spaceports, usually bustling with trade and travelers, were overwhelmed with frightened families, their entire lives packed into hastily gathered bags. Order began to fray as the crowd swelled, and tensions escalated into chaos. People clamored to secure a place aboard the evacuation ships, and the fear that not everyone would make it out alive turned desperation into violence. Among the chaos, Captain Zara Nix emerged as an unlikely leader. A seasoned pilot with a reputation for running dangerous cargo routes, she was used to navigating tough situations. Her ship, Starlight, was built for hauling freight, but the Council repurposed it into a makeshift transport, assigning it to lead a convoy of civilian vessels. Zara resisted at first. She wasn't a hero, and she didn't want to be responsible for hundreds of lives. But as she watched families struggle to board the evacuation ships, she realized she had no choice. Under Zara's leadership, the Starlight became a beacon of hope in the chaos. She coordinated the loading of passengers, ensuring that no one was left behind who could fit aboard. Her crew worked tirelessly, cramming as many people as they could into the ship's cargo bays and repurposed storage areas. But as they prepared to depart, they faced a grim reality: many more would be left behind. As the first wave of evacuation ships took off, the skies above the colony world of Argus Prime filled with vessels, each racing against time. But the rogue black hole's influence reached farther than anyone anticipated. Its gravitational field warped spacetime, disrupting navigation systems and dragging some ships off course. Communications were filled with frantic calls from captains reporting strange time dilations, minutes passing like hours or entire days vanishing in a heartbeat. Zara's convoy found itself in a precarious situation as they entered the outer edges of the anomaly's influence. Time seemed to bend, and even the most advanced sensors struggled to maintain a clear path. Ships that once flew in formation suddenly found themselves light years apart, while others vanished into strange spatial folds, never to be heard from again. The black hole's presence was not just pulling them in, it was bending reality, creating distortions that could trap ships like insects in a web. Amidst the turmoil, Zara's crew discovered another horrifying twist: the black hole was causing a ripple effect, creating smaller gravitational disturbances that tore apart the fabric of space. Entire asteroid fields were pulled into its maw, and planets in nearby systems began to experience tectonic upheavals as the rogue black hole's pull intensified. Zara knew that if they lingered any longer, they risked being caught in one of these cosmic snares. Zara made the decision to alter their route, taking the convoy through an uncharted region of space in the hope of escaping the black hole's reach. It was a dangerous gamble, but the only option left. They would skirt the edge of the anomaly, using its gravity to slingshot themselves to safety, a maneuver that had never been attempted on such a scale. Her crew doubted the plan, but Zara's determination was unwavering. "We don't have time for second guesses," she told them, gripping the controls. "If we stay, we're all dead. Trust me, we'll make it through." With a burst of energy, the Starlight and its convoy surged into the unknown, the black hole's dark horizon looming ever closer. As they entered the region where space and time twisted together, the universe around them seemed to hold its breath. For a moment, the stars themselves seemed to blur, stretching into strange, elongated shapes. Zara focused on the path ahead, guiding the convoy through the warped space, all too aware that a single mistake could mean their doom. Behind them, the black hole continued its relentless approach, a shadow of destruction consuming all in its path. For those who made it onto the ships, survival was no longer just about escaping a dying world, it was about navigating a cosmos that had turned hostile, where even the laws of physics could no longer be trusted. The great evacuation was only the beginning. As the convoy led by Captain Zara Nix drifted closer to the edge of the rogue black hole's influence, the universe around them seemed to warp and shift. Space itself became a labyrinth, a distorted maze of gravitational traps and time anomalies. The Starlight led the remaining ships into this twilight zone, where reality appeared to unravel, and the familiar stars blurred into strange, elongated shapes. Zara knew that every decision mattered, that even a small miscalculation could doom them all. Despite their best efforts, some ships in the convoy were caught in the black hole's shifting gravity wells. One moment, a transport vessel would be flying alongside them, and the next, it would be dragged away, its engines straining against an invisible force before vanishing into the dark. Zara watched in horror as the Icarus, a passenger freighter, was pulled into a time loop, its distress call repeating endlessly across their comm channels. In a flash, it reappeared, now a twisted wreck, ejected from the black hole's grasp as if spat out by the universe itself. The crew of the Starlight fought to keep their fear in check, but the strain was visible in their faces. Dr. Lena Kai, the ship's astrophysicist, was working tirelessly at her station, analyzing the strange data streaming in from their sensors. "This is beyond anything we've ever seen," she muttered, eyes wide with exhaustion. "The black hole's event horizon is warping time and space, creating localized distortions. Some of these ripples are from the past, others might be glimpses of the future." Zara tried to stay focused on navigating through the chaos, but their situation only grew more surreal. At the heart of the black hole's boundary, they encountered an impossible sight, a derelict ship floating in the void, its hull battered but intact. It was the ISS Nova, a vessel that had vanished over 200 years ago during Earth's early attempts at deep space exploration. Its presence here defied all logic, as if it had been plucked from time and deposited at the edge of oblivion. After docking with the Nova, Zara led a small team aboard, exploring its darkened corridors. Inside, they found signs of a crew that had struggled to survive, hastily scrawled notes about a dark singularity and the effects of time fracturing. But most chilling of all was a recording left by the Nova's captain, his voice echoing through the ship's empty halls. "The black hole, it's alive. It sees us. Don't try to fight it, escape while you still can." The Nova's logs revealed that the rogue black hole was not a natural phenomenon. It was the product of an ancient civilization, an experiment gone terribly wrong. The log spoke of a powerful entity known as the Architect, a being that had tried to harness the energy of collapsing stars to create a self-sustaining black hole, a tool to reshape spacetime itself. But something had gone awry, and the black hole had gained a life of its own, becoming a predator that roamed the cosmos, devouring everything in its path. The discovery sent a shiver through Zara and her team. It meant that the black hole they faced wasn't just a natural disaster, it was a living relic of a civilization whose knowledge far surpassed their own. And now, it seemed that the Architect's creation had become aware of them, as if it could sense their presence on the edge of its domain. Returning to the Starlight, Zara shared the disturbing revelation with her crew. The team debated their options: should they continue trying to escape, or could they use the knowledge from the Nova's logs to destabilize the black hole from within? Dr. Kai proposed a radical plan. If they could find the core of the black hole, they might be able to trigger a controlled collapse, creating a temporary wormhole that could eject the convoy to safety. But it was a high-stakes gamble, one that could either save them or lead to total annihilation. Zara faced a grim decision. They were running out of time, and the black hole's pull was growing stronger. But hope lingered in the possibility that they could turn the rogue force against itself. "We're going in," she decided, setting a course deeper into the abyss. "If this thing has a core, we'll find it, and we'll make sure it never threatens anyone again." With the convoy behind them and the abyss ahead, the Starlight plunged deeper into the chaos, leaving behind the last traces of normal space. Time stretched and twisted around them, and the black hole's dark horizon loomed like a mouth waiting to swallow them whole. They had entered a place where the rules of the universe no longer applied, where survival was uncertain, and where every moment could be their last. But if they succeeded, they might just find a way to turn the darkness into their path home. The Starlight and the remaining convoy ventured deeper into the rogue black hole's twisted domain, a place where reality fractured into impossible shapes and time ripples flowed like unseen currents. Space warped around them, and the stars outside stretched into eerie smears of light. Captain Zara Nix kept a steady hand on the controls, guiding the ship through gravitational anomalies that could tear them apart with a single misstep. Dr. Lena Kai monitored the ship's instruments, trying to decipher the data pouring in. The closer they got to the black hole's core, the more the anomaly's behavior seemed deliberate, like a mind guiding the chaos. Suddenly, a new reading appeared on her screen, a faint energy signature buried within the gravitational storm, pulsing at regular intervals, unlike the wild fluctuations of the black hole itself. It was a signal, artificial and precise, as if someone or something was still alive inside the anomaly. Zara ordered the ship to follow the signal, weaving through the gravitational traps that surrounded them. After a tense journey, they reached a massive structure suspended in the black hole's distorted space, a colossal, metallic sphere covered in strange symbols and angular designs. It hovered at the center of a swirling vortex, as if anchoring the chaos around it. The Starlight scanners struggled to make sense of the material, detecting traces of exotic particles and unknown alloys far beyond human technology. Dr. Kai's voice was hushed with awe. This must be it. The core. The place where the Architect tried to control the black hole." Zara, alongside a small crew, suited up and prepared to board the mysterious structure, leaving the Starlight on standby. The docking sequence was nerve-wracking, the ship vibrating as they aligned with the ancient sphere. Inside, they found a labyrinth of hallways and chambers, each adorned with complex carvings that seemed to pulse with a faint, eerie light. As they delved deeper, they encountered ancient consoles and control panels, written in a language they couldn't understand, scripts that seemed to shift and change as they looked at them. In the heart of the sphere, they discovered a vast chamber filled with holographic displays, showing a swirling map of the black hole's energy field. At its center sat a lone figure, an emaciated humanoid being, wrapped in a tattered robe of shimmering fabric, its skin pale and translucent. Its eyes were closed, its body unnaturally still, as if frozen in time. This was the architect, the last remnant of the ancient civilization that had created the rogue black hole. Despite the centuries that had passed, the figure's chest rose and fell with shallow breaths, suspended between life and death by the alien technology around it. Zara approached the figure cautiously, but as she did, the chamber came to life. Holographic symbols flared, and a distorted voice echoed through the room, speaking in a language that twisted in their minds. Dr. Kai quickly activated the translation software, piecing together the cryptic message. Failure, darkness, eternal hunger. The words came through disjointed, but their meaning was clear. The architect had tried to control the power of collapsing stars, to harness the black hole as a tool for reshaping reality itself. But instead, it had unleashed a force that couldn't be contained, a predator that devoured space and time. The rogue black hole had turned against its creator, consuming their civilization and trapping the architect in this timeless prison. Zara's mind raced as she pieced together the truth. The architect's technology had failed to control the black hole, but it might still hold the key to stopping it. Dr. Kai deciphered more of the console's functions, discovering a way to access the core's controls, an emergency failsafe that the architect had never been able to activate. It would involve redirecting the black hole's energy, triggering a temporary collapse that could eject the convoy from its grasp. But the process would be dangerous and unstable, risking total destruction if anything went wrong. As they prepared to activate the failsafe, the architect's eyes opened, revealing a gaze that seemed to see through time itself. It spoke in a voice that resonated through the chamber, warning them of the dangers. The black hole is alive. It knows. It will fight. Zara nodded, understanding the risks but knowing they had no other choice. We have to try. We can't let it destroy everything we've built. With a final, weary look, the architect raised a trembling hand, guiding them through the activation sequence. The ancient console flared with energy, and the sphere began to tremble as the failsafe engaged. Outside, the black hole's swirling form shifted, its horizon rippling with new, violent distortions. As the energy surge built, Zara and her team raced back to the starlight. The entire structure groaned as the failsafe triggered, creating a ripple that began to destabilize the black hole's core. The architect, still inside, closed its eyes once more, accepting its fate. As they departed, Zara glanced back at the sphere, knowing that this enigmatic being had chosen to stay behind to give them a chance at survival. With the starlight at full speed, Zara piloted the ship away from the collapsing sphere, the black hole's gravitational pull straining against them. But as they pushed through the chaos, a new path began to open, a wormhole forming from the destabilized core, offering them one final escape route. The architect's last message echoed in their ears, "Run, while the stars still burn." The convoy surged toward the wormhole, leaving the ancient sphere behind as it dissolved into the swirling darkness. And behind them, the rogue black hole roared with a soundless fury, sensing its own end approaching. The race was on, and the stakes had never been higher. The starlight raced toward the newly formed wormhole, its engines roaring with power as Captain Zara Nix pushed the ship to its limits. Behind them, the rogue black hole churned violently, its gravitational pull fraying the fabric of space around it. The convoy was in disarray, ships struggling to align themselves with the rapidly shifting portal, while the chaotic forces of the black hole threatened to tear them apart. Zara's heart pounded as she glanced at the monitors. The wormhole shimmered, pulsating with energy, but it was unstable. Every moment they hesitated could mean losing their chance for escape. "Everyone, get ready," she shouted, her voice cutting through the panic. "We need to move now." Dr. Lena Kai worked furiously at her station, trying to stabilize the readings from the wormhole. "It's fluctuating. We'll need to time our entry perfectly, if we're even going to make it." Her fingers flew across the console as she calculated the precise moment for each ship in the convoy to enter. Just then, the convoy's communication system crackled to life, filled with the voices of frantic captains. "I can't hold on. The gravitational waves are too strong," one voice shouted. Another added, "We're losing control. We need to break formation." Zara felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. The lives of countless families rested on her shoulders. "Stay together," she commanded, forcing the trembling crews to focus. "If we scatter, we'll never make it. Trust each other." As they approached the wormhole, the black hole seemed to sense their intent. Dark tendrils of gravitational energy lashed out, reaching for the convoy with a ferocity that sent shivers down Zara's spine. The starlight shuddered as it entered the fringes of the black hole's influence, alarms blaring as systems strained against the pressure. Suddenly, a massive surge of energy erupted from the black hole, creating a shockwave that slammed into the convoy. Ships were thrown off course, their hulls creaking under the strain. Zara's heart raced as she watched the Atlas, a heavy cargo ship, spiral away from the group, its trajectory spiraling toward the black hole's maw. "We can't leave them behind," one of her crew shouted, but Zara's mind was already racing through options. They were all aware of the price of hesitation. "We can't save them if we don't save ourselves," she shouted back, the words bitter in her throat. But she knew she couldn't abandon her own. With a sudden burst of determination, Zara made a split-second decision. "I'm going to attempt a rescue maneuver. We need to create a diversion." She veered the Starlight toward the Atlas, focusing on the ship's docking clamps. "Prepare for emergency docking." Dr. Kai and the crew scrambled, bracing for the turbulence. "If this fails..." "It won't," Zara interrupted, steering the Starlight closer as the gravitational waves swirled menacingly. Just as the Atlas teetered on the edge of being consumed, Zara hit the thrusters, executing a risky maneuver that brought them alongside the stricken ship. With deft precision, she extended the docking arm, locking onto the Atlas's hull. "Go," she yelled into the comms, urgency lacing her voice. "Get everyone aboard, now." The crew of the Atlas scrambled to evacuate, racing toward the Starlight. But time was running out, and the black hole's tendrils surged closer, lashing out with menacing intent. The emergency docking process was chaotic, with alarms blaring and gravity fluctuating, but Zara kept her focus, preparing to fire the engines at a moment's notice. Finally, the last crew member from the Atlas made it aboard. "We're all here," they shouted, breathless and wide-eyed. "Now," Zara commanded, slamming her hand on the controls, triggering the engines as the gravitational waves roared around them. They surged away from the Atlas, barely escaping the black hole's clutches. The strain on the Starlight was immense, the ship trembling as it fought against the forces trying to pull it back. They rocketed toward the wormhole, and just as they reached its threshold, a violent explosion erupted from the black hole, a final, desperate attempt to consume them. The shockwave surged through the space, rattling their ship, but they were already in motion. As they entered the wormhole, a blinding light engulfed them, the sensation of being pulled and stretched becoming overwhelming. The entire crew braced themselves, hearts pounding, praying that the chaos of the black hole was behind them. Moments later, they were ejected into the quiet serenity of normal space, the cacophony of the black hole fading into a haunting memory. The convoy emerged scattered but alive, surrounded by the stars of the Argus star cluster. They had survived, but at what cost? As the crew of the Starlight gathered their breath, Zara turned to Dr. Kai, the weight of their escape pressing on her shoulders. "What now?" she asked, knowing that their battle with the black hole had revealed only a fraction of the larger universe's mysteries. Dr. Kai looked back at her, determination flickering in her eyes. "Now, we regroup and find a way to ensure this never happens again." Zara nodded, looking out into the vastness of space, aware that while they had escaped the black hole's grasp, the cosmos held countless other threats. Their journey was far from over, it was only the beginning of a new fight, one to protect their worlds from the shadows lurking in the abyss.